He's a highly sought-after producer who's worked with artists from E40 to T.I. Most recently, you've heard his voice on Big Boy's new single, Shutterbug. Today on YBM TV, we're getting insider tips and stories from super producer Bosko Conte.
When I got started, they didn't have all of the social networking, kind of stuff that you have now. But a lot of the concepts were the same. And the biggest thing that I did was move physically from Portland to Los Angeles because that's where the people were. And I made an effort to go to events, meet people at parties, and use my personal network. And always present myself professionally as far as having a CD with me, or when I first started, a tape of my latest music. So if I met somebody that I felt like needed to hear my music, or I wanted to hear my music, I always have it right there with the bio and all that. But I think today the concepts are still pretty much the same. You want to present yourself in a professional manner. So you want to have a website or a Facebook page that has all of the information that someone would need to contact you to hear your music. You want to present your music in the best possible light, and you need to use your personal network because if someone just out of the blue hands me a tape, I'm not going to take it seriously because there's a million records out there that I'm trying to listen to, so why should I listen to this? But if a friend of mine hands me a tape, I'm going to take it totally different. So, you kind of have to go backwards, and if you're starting out and you want to get to whatever, Puffy, who's Puffy's attorney, who's Puffy's, manager, who's Puffy's driver, whatever, you start to back it up, and you might not necessarily want to start quite that high. You might want to aim for somebody that's just that promotes shows in your community, and figure out how to meet them in a personal setting as opposed to just handing them a tape. Don't just go right at them with the tape. Try to build some kind of relationship with them or somebody that's close to them first, and then it'll come, and then of course when they hear your music, make sure that your music is on point. Definitely. Because all the relationships in the world don't really make a difference with some music that's not up to par.
Gotcha. Yeah. So remember, number one, make sure you have a good product.
That's right. That's right.
Okay. And then for all those aspiring musicians, entertainers out there, is there any specific advice you have for those people that look up to Bosko and want to be in your shoes one day?
Well, I think the first thing and one of the most important things is to do it for the love, because in music it's not guaranteed that you're going to be financially successful, and even a lot of the people that are out there maybe are not making as much money as it looks like, because that's the nature of the game. You're showing, sometimes you're showing what you want to be in your video, not necessarily what you are. So if you're doing it for the love, you're always successful. And so that's first and foremost. Now, another important thing just for producers and artists is learn your craft, learn how to play an instrument, be a student of music, and I think that also comes out of the love. But don't expect that success is going to happen overnight. It's going to happen when it happens, and it's going to be a result of a lot of small steps, and you might not always realize that you're making progress, but if you're learning, you're meeting people, and you're making records, and that's another thing, you got to keep making records. It's not, you don't just make one record and try to sell that record. You make 1,000 records, because it might be your second record that's the hit, or it might be your 1,000th. But if you only do 100 records, you'll never get to that record. One of the ways that I got a lot of my connections was being in Los Angeles, and the reason why I was in Los Angeles is because I got an academic scholarship to the University of Southern California. Nice. So at USC, I met a lot of people in Los Angeles. I met AMG, who introduced me to DJ Quick, and I met this guy named Papa LQ, and I kind of got introduced to the whole recording scene that way. So, and then having an education, I got a mechanical engineering degree from USC.
Oh, wow.
it helped me, you know, take care of my money, know how to handle my contracts, know how to handle my business relationships, and just be more professional in certain environments when I needed that. So it was basically invaluable education. So education.
Definitely. Can't under.
One of the guys I met was a DJ named Technique. DJ Trace Keys goes by both names, and he DJ'd for In Living Color. So he knew they needed a new theme song, and since we were cool, he said, "Hey, you know, let's work on the theme song together." We worked on a theme song. They picked the theme song. I got a real nice fat check. I'm in college with a theme song to a major, you know, network television show, and I'm like, okay, I'm doing this engineering, but this music is really what I love. Let me put my heart into it and make it happen. And that's when I decided I was going to do music and be a producer. And I think I was about 19 at that time. Part of that, Shutterbug is Big Boy from Outkast, his first single. He just signed a deal with Def Jam, so he's releasing his album, I believe, in July. And Sir Lucius Left Foot, Son of Chico Dusty is the album title. and I worked on like 3 songs on that album, and I'm doing a lot of talk box. And on the single Shutterbug, I'm doing the talk box. And I actually got introduced to Big Boy. E40 is another. E40 from the Bay is one of my biggest clients. And when I was working with him, we did all of his work in Atlanta, and I met this guy named Chris Carmouche, who was the engineer for Big Boy at Stankonia Studios. And so when they needed the talk box for this particular record, they knew that, you know, I was the guy, you know, since I had done, you know, I did a bunch of talk box on E40's record, done stuff with Kanye West. So they said, get Bosko, and I actually happened to be living just a few blocks away from the studio at that time. So I came over and did the record. They loved it. And the first one I did was the intro. It was called Feel Me. And then he brought me over for 2 other records, and it just turned out that Andre had listened to Shutterbug and felt like that, you know, him and Big Boy together felt like that was the single for the record. And we shot the video, and boom, it's on YouTube. And
check him out at BoskoLive.com. He has a lot of big things coming out this summer. YoungBlackandMotivated.com.
You know, I'm young, black, and motivated myself. So
definitely.